So welcome y'all. Welcome to the Free Thought Experiment. I'm your host, Luis Fernandez. This whole idea came to me with just the thought of spreading new ideas, opinions that have not been voiced out, and to give a platform for more people to voice these opinions to get the conversation started towards a new America. Without further ado, here's our first guest for this week. This is Ryan. Ryan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, okay. Well, my name is Ryan Olivares. I am from Mercedes, Texas, and I go to school at the University of Texas at San Antonio. I am a medical humanities major with a minor in biology, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It's
Okay.
the only thing that's really interesting
What
about
was it?
me.
A medical? What was it?
Medical humanities.
Medical humanities. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Yes. So typically, when we think of medicine, we just think of the biological aspect of it, all the sciences, the biology, the chemistry, the pharmacology, all that type of stuff. But medical humanities seeks to kind of frame medicine in a not just a biological standpoint, but also the psychological aspect and the social aspect of medicine. So it dives into a lot of the humanistic side of medicine, not just the sciencey parts.
Oh, it's awesome. So it's kind of like more. Would it also involve like the mental state of people that
Yeah, for
yep,
sure.
that's awesome. And that's
Hmm.
exactly why I wanted to bring you on here because some of the topics we're going to be talking about going to be about the mental state of a lot of people. Uh,
Hmm.
and so what made you go into like that field?
That's a funny question. Well, initially I was a bio major, and if I'm being honest, because honesty is the best policy, um, the degree plan for a bio major at UTSA includes having to take uh, calculus for biosciences and a computer coding class.
Huh?
I am not good at math at all, and the coding, it was so hard. It was supposed to be an introductory course to coding, but it was very difficult to learn the language, and so that semester I dropped. I was already enrolled in calculus and the computer coding class, but I dropped those two, and I said if I have to take those two classes, I will never finish this degree. So I was like, you know what? Let me explore my options. How can I meet all the prereqs for medical school, but just with another degree that doesn't include calculus? And I got introduced to medical humanities, and honestly, I love it a lot. I prefer it actually because I don't think that a lot of the bio majors take a lot of the same sociology classes or like the humanities classes
Yeah.
as I do, and it's just really introduced me to a whole different way of thinking about medicine in general. So I really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's a good point you're making because not only did you take the route of working smarter, not harder.
Hmm.
You have a weakness in calculus.
Right? Yeah.
And a lot of people, what they would do is they'll take that weakness and say, "Ah, man, I can't do it anymore," and they give up.
Right.
So the good thing that you did is you saw that weakness. You said, well, how can I get around that so I can still get
Yeah.
to my goal?
Right.
And like you said, you're taking a lot more social studies classes like
Hmm.
sociology and I
Hmm.
imagine like philosophy classes as well,
Yeah.
which I honestly think that those are one of the most important classes that you can take
Hmm.
in this day of age where we're making a transition. That I've always said that the U.S. has been making a transition from a manufacturing and industrial type of economy towards a more
Hmm.
service
Hmm.
orientated and more of a modern postmodern era economic standpoint where we have to look more at the mental state of people, the sociological effects of people,
Right.
demographics and stuff like that. And that's awesome. So the first person that came to my mind when I came up with this idea of having a discussion, having a conversation to put on a platform for people to start talking about. I'm gonna be honest. You're the first person that came to mind for two reasons. When I saw your YouTube channel, I don't know if you know it, but I am a big fan of it. I love your YouTube
Yes, I'm aware.
they're not not that they're not super informational, but they're not really like statistic based or like where
Right.
they talk about
It's
the
a lot of feeling oriented. It's
yeah, it's a
like,
lot of
what's your
emotion.
experience?
Yeah, experience and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I really liked it. I was really a fan of it.
Hmm.
I'm not gonna lie. Some stuff I didn't agree with. That's okay.
Hmm.
That's okay. That's the
Hmm.
point of having this conversation. There's gonna be
Yeah.
disagreements. That's one of the reasons. I saw your YouTube channel. That kind of inspired me to do this. And the second one is me and you. We've bumped heads in the past,
We
and I've
have.
seen you on Twitter. And
Yeah.
for someone like me, that I really voice out everything I think. Sometimes I
Hmm.
don't think twice about it, and I regret it, and I'll have to
Hmm.
retract. But but we've bumped heads before, and I've bumped heads with a lot of people. But you
Hmm.
stand out to me because every time I've noticed, every time we bumped heads, we
Hmm.
always reach to a kind of compromise where we don't
Yeah.
hate each other, we understand each other's views, and it's not the solution that we're arguing about; it's the means to get to that solution.
Right, exactly. I think that um, as I get older, I kind of try to navigate conversations that way more often, just because I don't think that making other people look or trying to make other people look stupid to win an argument for the sake of winning an argument is doing anything. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
if I'm having a conversation with you, I'm obviously wanting to express why I feel the way I do, and I'm sure you want to express the way that you do, um, for whatever reasons that you may have, and it gets nowhere when it gets like really just there's just a lot of animosity, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
like that. And I recently got into something again. I want to say like a week ago, and I don't know. I can't understand how people argue on
Yeah.
Twitter. It does nothing.
Yeah, yeah, and that's another reason why I want to do this because I feel like on Twitter, you're tweeting and you can write down what you mean, but
Hmm.
it's always taken at a face value, as
Right.
in sometimes you don't have the right punctuation, it gets taken out of context, and
Yeah.
I've had to like I said retract things I said and clear things up, and I said, man, there's got to be a better way. And so best way I thought was, well, I think the best way is to make a video, and
Yeah.
this is how all this started. So like I like your opinion on it, like
Hmm.
bumping heads and being all this animosity, all this anger, and all these
Hmm.
emotions into it. It really doesn't get you anywhere because it goes back to the idea that I say that I think we all want to get to the same solution. I think we all
Hmm.
agree on the same solution of what we want and how people should be treated, but I think we all just have different views and opinions on how we should get to that spot. So
Hmm.
that brings us to our next topic, and one of the
Hmm.
key things that I know about you. And if I ever get too personal or something you don't want to answer, that's okay. You can just let me
I'm
know.
an open book.
We'll we'll move on from it. But I know
Okay.
I don't want to label you the wrong way. I know people would get offended with that and stuff like that. And I don't want to offend anyone. Last thing I want to do is offend someone if I don't need to.
Uh-huh.
But from what I understand, I do know you're gay. Well, what would you label yourself as? Gay, bisexual,
Yeah. I would say I'm a gay man.
gay
I
man?
identify as homosexual, and also I'm a cisgendered person, meaning that I identify with the gender that I was
Yeah,
assigned
that,
or
that
that
you
correlates to my
yeah,
anatomy.
to your biology, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm straight, and I wouldn't want someone telling me that I'm gay if I know I'm straight. And
Hmm.
I'm also cisgender because I identify as a male, and I was born biologically male. And
Hmm.
I see the point that I'm gonna talk about the LGBTQ community. I'll turn into
Hmm.
LGBT because I have a stutter. But
Hmm.
I've seen the LGBT community make a valid point that we should, you know, call people or identify people as what they choose to identify and how they
Hmm.
want to be identified as. I mean, I don't have a problem
Hmm.
with it. If you ask me to, if you're biologically a male, want to be identified as a female, I'm okay with that. If your sexuality is something different than mine, I'm okay with that.
Hmm.
I want to talk about any experiences that you had that you have felt like you felt offended because somebody didn't take those considerations into
Hmm.
place when they were talking to you.
Well, I think just to touch on what you said before, I think ultimately what it comes down to is just respect,
Mm-hmm.
and tolerance. I think that a lot of people um, have this, what's the word? They have this like tendency and the desire to try to rationalize things too much. And I just think that what it comes down to, what we need to come down to as people, is just like respecting each other. So if my identifying with this particular identity doesn't harm you in any way, doesn't harm society in any way, I think that that should be respected. So I think a lot of times people just, like I said, like they try to rationalize, they try to bring in science and all these different things and the psychology of everything, and it just, I think to me, what it essentially comes down to is just respect. Just respect people's um, identity, because honestly, it's not that hard to do, you know, and it makes them feel good, and you just become a person that isn't so um, what's the word? You just become a person that isn't so fixated on like trying so hard to just explain everything and rationalize
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, and I agree with you there. I mean, it comes down to respect. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
I would like to be called a male. I wouldn't like to be called female.
Mm-hmm.
I would take that to offense, just like if someone identifies as a male and you misidentify them, or I don't want to say misidentify because I feel like that has a stigma towards it. Sometimes it is just an
Mm-hmm.
accident. You know, you don't know
Mm-hmm.
that person, and you say, when I work as a waiter, I used to work as a waiter at Olive Garden, and I mean
Mm-hmm.
sometimes a person with long hair, I'd go, "Hey, ma'am," and then I look up, and I find out it's a
Mm-hmm.
guy, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
mistake. I didn't mean to. I'll apologize.
Right.
So I don't really like to use the word misidentify because I feel like most of those cases are mistakes, and we
Mm-hmm.
should call out the
Oh
ones that
yeah, for sure.
are intentional. I feel like we should call them out, say, "Hey, man, you're being a jerk." But like I said, it just does come down to respect. I don't think there's any health hazards or anything like that you're putting with. The argument I have seen from other people is that when you go to the doctor and you identify yourself as a male, but you're biologically a female, the medications might have an effect to it. But I think there's an easy solution to that. I mean, I think you can just on your birth certificate, it should be in a system on file with the doctor. So the doctor should look at the biological thing and then just, when they're talking to you, identify you or whatever you identify with. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think that should be a huge problem. Like you
Yeah,
said,
I don't think it, and see, I don't think it is at least so much within the medical community. I feel like that conversation is always had with like your healthcare provider. Like
yeah,
if you're going in, I think genderqueer people or people who've transitioned, um, they always have that conversation because it is a necessary component to like navigating the type of treatment that you
yeah,
need, even if it's for medicines that aren't relating to some sort of gender confirmation. You know what I mean? That conversation is always had. I just feel like it's more so a problem with the general public. And
yeah,
I also think like this happened to me last night. I was messaging with this friend of mine. Well, now she's my friend, but like I met her last night through a group me from my bio 2 class, and we were talking back and forth about like a PA program, and her name is Brittany, and I spelled her name. I don't know why when it was in front of me, but I in my text I was spelled her name Brittany, Britany, when it was spelled Britney, and
yeah,
she called me out on it, and I was like, oh shit, like okay, sorry about that, like Brittany, and I addressed her
yeah.
how her name is, and I think that it seems so trivial and so small, but like that is literally how people should
It's
um take that situation, like,
yeah.
oh, that's not my name, that's not the way it's spelled,
Mhm.
this is my name, this is how it's spelled, okay, cool. And that goes hand in hand with how you address people who may be misgendered by the general public. So if I go up to someone and I say, excuse me, sir, and they say, oh, I'm actually identifying as female, then oh shit, okay, I'm sorry,
Yeah, you
hello
wouldn't go to
miss.
that person and be like, "Well, you look like a girl." I mean,
Right,
come on, man.
right. Or even then, or even if you're confused, you can just say hello. You know,
Yeah,
it might take some getting used to at first, but because we didn't grow up
yeah,
speaking that way, and we just grew up addressing people by how their outward appearance correlated with like masculine and
yeah,
feminine
yeah, yeah,
characteristics. But the older we get, I mean, we have to evolve, we have to change, right?
yeah,
Every day we change ourselves. So it's like we have to expect society to change as well. And we can't just dig our heels in like ways that,
mhm.
only serve to disrespect people. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And I agree with you. I think as we continue, we are evolving because
Hmm.
even as an economic and business standpoint, so people can know I'm a finance major and
Right.
I'm so into economics and all this stuff. But to bring economics and business into it, you can see that change in businesses as well. Some businesses,
Hmm.
not all. But for example, Olive Garden.
Hmm.
When I was training there, they did teach us to try to lean towards a gender neutral greeting, as in saying, "Hey, man,"
Right.
hey y'all instead of saying hey guys or hey
Mm-hmm.
ladies, because of
Mm-hmm.
that thing of just accidentally calling someone the wrong thing, and
Right.
and I think there should be compromise between the both sides, between
Mm-hmm.
the people
Some
that,
sort of understanding.
yeah, like the people that are being misgendered.
Mm-hmm.
Mistakes happen, and then the other side,
Right.
you just try your best to fix that mistake and apologize for it and just show a little bit of sincerity, and we can move on from that conversation.
Yeah, there definitely needs to be some sort of like a give and take between both parties. I just
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
like people who are often misgendered should also be considerate of the fact that not everyone knows what their experience is like. They don't know what it feels to um, want to transition or not identify with a particular gender in general. So I feel like educating people and just letting people know as easily as I said before, you're like, hey, you can just address me like this. I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Simple things like that.
yeah. And actually, like I said, we don't have a script for
Right.
this show. But this other
Mhm.
question popped into my mind was, what do you think about businesses? I'll give my opinion from here because I don't want to be so much about my opinion. I'll give my view for this beginning, and then I'll let you talk about the way, because I
Okay.
feel like we might have different opinions, but I don't know. There's the whole point of this
Okay.
conversation. But what do you think about businesses that have certain religious views that we
Mm,
might not agree with? Uh, not wanting to do business with people that they have a certain sexuality, like being gay,
mm,
and some Christians, not all. I'll make that distinction right there.
mhm,
Some Christians, not all, do believe that participating in any sort of what's it called, activity that includes gay or lesbian or LGBT tendencies,
mhm.
that they should not be associated with them. They shouldn't do business with that. What do you think about that? But first, I'll give my opinion.
Sure.
I think that you should. I think that's disgusting. To
Mhm.
start off, I think that whole idea of that, if you're gay and this, I think as long as I'm not participating in the sin, as in I'm not doing it myself, because me as a Catholic, I do see it as a sin, but it's not something that I'm going to go and crucify you for it. I'm still going to talk to you. I would still bring you to church. I mean, I wouldn't try to change you or anything like that. I would still consider people friends of mine and not demonize them for them. Still continue
Mhm,
like if life is normal. But it would just
mhm.
be as me as something me I just wouldn't do, because it's just something I'm not comfortable with, and
Right.
something that I don't see as part of my religion. And I hope I don't get like taken out of context there, because I'm not trying to advocate as and demonize them and they're wrong people and they're sinning and all this stuff.
Right.
We all sin. I've sinned
Mhm,
before, and I'll be
mhm,
honest with that. But I don't think we should demonize them. At the same time, I
mhm,
do think we got to respect those people's
mhm,
religions, as in let that business run out of business.
mhm.
Boycott them if you want them. Um, just go find another place to get your service from.
Right.
Here in the U.S., there's no lack of that. I think that should be something we should do. Where I do draw the line is I don't think the government should come and shut that business down or force that business to do business with them. I do think businesses should
Mhm,
have the same, what's it called, the same rights as everyone else to refuse to do businesses with whoever they want to.
mhm,
The only part I disagree with is government intervention to force that integration. I do feel like people should take it into their own hands and boycott them, and
mhm,
put that information out there. Hey, this business is doing this, and I don't like it. And if you don't like it either, don't go there. And people, naturally, that business will be running out of business anytime soon.
mhm.
And if it doesn't, that's okay. I mean, they'll live their lives as long as they're not, attacking you and disrupting your way of life. You should just let them be. But what's your opinion on that?
So it's very interesting. You brought up a lot of points. I'm gonna try to go
Yeah,
one
yeah,
by
I'm sorry
one.
for that.
Uh, so no, you're fine. I'm just like I'm thinking about what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
So I just think that um, first of all, when it comes to businesses saying that they won't serve uh, people of the LGBT community
Mhm.
um, for X, Y, and Z, religious, well, how can I put this? First of all, I agree with you in the whole boycotting thing. I think that it's much easier to just look, this business is not very LGBT
Yeah,
friendly.
I mean, or it just this
Don't
business
take your
sucks.
business there, right? I think I grew up Catholic too, so but I'm not very well versed in, you know, like the ins and outs of the Bible. Like I'm not
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
just sit here and pretend like I do. Um, I just think that to me, it's a little what's the word? Hypocritical to pinpoint specific sins as like the one thing that you will never
yeah,
associate yourself with in any single way. Like I get the whole like you believe some certain things are sins, but I just feel like there's so many other things that
yeah. That we do.
some Christians do on a regular basis that
Yeah,
it
hmm
really they don't really take accountability for.
yeah,
But that also goes, see, and you have to think about like how people were raised and how people were brought up to believe certain things and how other things weigh more than others.
yeah,
So I get that. Like there's a to think that anything is just in any conversation, in any argument, in any social situation, to think that anything is just purely black or white is,
yes,
I think, a mistake. There's a lot more nuance to certain things. There's a lot more background information, how
yeah,
people are brought up, what experiences they've been through. So
yeah,
I can't say whether they come exactly from a place of hatred, pure hatred, or if they genuinely feel like that is something
yeah.
like a
Like
grave sin that they can associate themselves with. You know, I can't know for sure. And
it's hard.
it's
It's
a
hard to
case by
tell.
case basis.
It's hard to tell
Yeah,
because, like you said, it's hard to tell if they're being genuine or if they're just being jerks. You know what I mean?
assholes. Right.
Uh,
Can we curse on
and
here?
yeah. No, I'm not gonna censor it. Well, I
Okay.
don't know if I'll get demonetized, but I'm not
Okay,
gonna
well, I'll try to
that.
keep it
I'm
cool.
not gonna that. But as I was saying, it's hard to tell if they're being genuine if they're just being, jerks.
Right.
And that's why I disagree with the government intervention because
Hmm.
what if that person just genuinely just honestly is just scared because of their religion,
Hmm.
and we might force them. It's like forcing a Muslim to eat pork. You know, we don't. I might not see it as that's a bad thing, but because of their religion, they
Hmm.
see it bad. And if we force them to do that, we're compromising their beliefs. So that's why I say we shouldn't do government intervention. What we should
Hmm.
do is, as a society, we should boycott them. I don't
Hmm.
think. I think in this day and age, like you said, it's very hypocritical as a Christian disassociating you not with some people because of a one sin when
Hmm.
we ourselves we commit sins every day, and that's something that I know
Right.
now that as a
Like
Christian,
divorce. Like
yeah,
you could go into the cake shop and ask for a cake for like your third wedding, but oh,
yeah,
that's okay because you're,
yeah.
you know,
See, and
heterosexual.
that's what
And
I
see,
say.
but they don't ask the type of questions, right? But like going in as a gay person, a lot of times it's easy to tell. So they're like, oh, gay. I don't
Yeah,
want to associate.
yeah, and at that point, like you said, you don't know if they're being genuine, if they're being jerks. So the best assumption would be to be that they're being genuine. That way, you don't affect the
Mm-hmm.
people uh,
Mm-hmm.
that are being genuine. You know, if you assume that
Yeah.
everyone's genuine, you don't hurt the people that are being genuine, and you can also, as a society, just boycott them. And if they decide to change on their own, they'll change.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, they'll go out of business, or
Mm-hmm.
at the very least, lose a source of income because
Right.
at a business standpoint, it's not very good. It's not very good
Mm-hmm.
business decision because you're
Right.
losing out of a source of income of somewhere. Because I like to compare this to back in when there was Jim Crow laws, where the government told businesses, not really businesses making the decision for themselves, but the government told businesses that black people couldn't, sit here, do this, go there, and businesses did lose a lot of money for it.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, there were some businesses and a lot of businesses that what they call did want to include blacks because they did
Mm-hmm.
see the business advantage to it. But and there were some businesses that didn't want to do it just because they're being jerks. And when
Right.
that thing lifted, you would see some businesses say, "Hey, we don't care if you're black, come in here." And you would
Mm-hmm.
start seeing the people boycott the businesses that weren't letting. They're
Mm-hmm.
protesting the buses. The government
But
didn't shut down the
you
bus.
also believe society. I think there also is a component to, there's a uneducated component to it as well. I feel like I want to play devil's advocate, but there's always going to be that part of me that wants to be like, that's so wrong. Like I think it's just disgusting for people to turn away people because of something that they have no control over.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really get the whole uh, being gay is sin thing.
Yeah.
Um, just because it's like a sin, I feel like is something that you intentionally do. Like a sin is something that you knowingly um, carry out, knowing that it's a sin, knowing that it's wrong against the eyes of God. Being gay, I have never intentionally willed myself to be gay. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think from that point of view, it's a little frustrating. Um, Even though I can see the other side, it's a little frustrating because it's like I have not. I'm a good person. I think I'm a good person. I think that I've, contributed to society in many different ways, blah, 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 X, Y, Z. But this one thing that I have no control over affects me in some situations with people not believing that I have done great,
Mm-hmm.
uh, like a great disservice to society by choosing to do this. When I
Yeah.
had no control, like trust me, if I were straight, if I could wake up tomorrow and just be straight, like my life would be so much easier. Like
Yeah, but
not to like
you can't just do it. It's like,
I
I mean,
can't.
I like to compare it also to like in a straight relationship when a guy likes a girl and,
Hmm.
and they and it might not be the best comparison because like I said, there's so many nuances, but I like to
Hmm.
compare it like that. Like you like a girl, but that girl doesn't like you back, and
Hmm.
you'll have your friends tell you, man, that girl's not good for you. There's plenty of other girls, but because of your mentality and not just your mentality, just because that's the way it is. The next day you can't wake up and say, okay, I don't like that girl anymore.
Right. It's
It,
not like it's the flip of
it's
a
not like you can
switch.
wake up tomorrow and say, I'm not going to be gay. It's something that's either born in us.
And you know what? And it's not something that I necessarily actually want to escape. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? It's
yeah,
not something that I've
yeah.
as
That's why I said it
as
wasn't the best comparison because I'm not saying that you
yeah.
change or you want to change, but it's like a little small like analogy that you can
Right,
think
right,
of
right.
where it's like you're not going to wake up the next day and say, X is
Hmm.
gonna I'm gonna do X and Y is gonna happen. It's not
Right.
like even if you wish you could do it, you just
Hmm.
can't. And
Hmm.
it's not something that you want to do per se,
Hmm.
or it's not something that you should do, but it's something that you say like I already took into consideration, so people should take into consideration my view. Like you're saying,
Hmm.
I don't think you're a bad person, and honestly,
Hmm.
I don't see it being a great sin. I know for
Hmm.
me, the way I was raised up in my family,
Hmm.
it's wrong. We see it as a moral taboo, but
Hmm.
that doesn't mean that we're gonna demonize that person or that person is
Right.
doing wrongdoing. Because me myself, I can commit 50 sins in one day, and
Hmm.
it's like you said, it's very hypocritical for a Christian to focus on that one sin when we ourselves
Right.
do so many sins. And not only that, I mean, the teachings of as Catholics, the teaching of Jesus, the teaching of Catholicism is to live your life as close as possible to the way Jesus led his life.
Hmm.
And Jesus didn't live his life criticizing people, critiquing people.
Right.
He lived their life helping people. And I'm not saying that gays need help or anything like that, like
Hmm.
something's wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with them. But at the
But
same
we should spend
time,
more time just loving each other and
yeah, just
just
loving each other and being
coexisting really
yeah,
than judging.
yeah, and I feel like as we evolve, like you said before, as we evolve, we're gonna
Hmm.
start integrating these new beliefs and new ideas into the way we live. Uh, the Catholic Church wasn't, as transparent as it is now and as clean as it is
Right.
now. Back then they would
A
stone
lot of shit
people.
went down.
So it's like I think you do see these in religious institutions where they start. Back then they would not let gay people be in their churches. At least from what I've read before, it was considered like something you don't do. But these days
Hmm.
and age, at least when I have gone to church, the couple of times that I've gone, our priests encourage us to bring people to church. That it doesn't matter
Right.
who they are, what they do, what they've done. Bring them to
Hmm.
church because everyone here is accepted, and everyone here, as long as you give your life to God, you're
Mm-hmm.
good. You're a
Mm-hmm.
good person, and we are no one to judge someone for what they are, who they are, what they've done, and what they're going to do. Because that's not our job.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I stand with that, and I agree with you a lot that that you can't change who you are, and it's not necessarily wrong that what you're doing is a wrong thing. That doesn't make you a wrong person. But I do
Mm-hmm.
see that religious institutions and business businesses and people all around United States, at least, because this is where most of my studies come from, they are starting to make that transition slowly. I mean, I've always said we
Right.
have to take baby steps. We can't take
Mm-hmm.
a jump, but I do see that transition happening slowly, meaning maybe not the speed that we want it to happen,
Mm-hmm.
but I do see it start happening, and sooner or later we would and we should get to the
Mm-hmm.
point where this will no longer be an issue,
Right.
and if it
Hopefully.
is, it'll be something very minimal, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? The next thing is quarantine life. How
Mm.
have you been spending your days now that we've all been stuck in our home for the last month?
Well, I've been in the valley for what since Sunday. What day was that? That was the let me check. That was the ninth. No, sorry, the 12th.
Mhm.
So I got to the valley on the 12th because before I was still in San Antonio.
Yeah,
I was still working. Thank God Target upped our pay like $2 more per
$10.
hours. So that was so we were at 15. So that was pretty good. But my mom wanted me to come home, so I came home, and I've been home ever since. And I've just been doing homework, trying to do my homework. It's very hard when everything is online, and I'm not used to that kind of. I mean, I've done online classes before, but
Yeah,
it's not the
it's not
same
the
when
same.
you sign up for an in class
Yeah,
and then now you have to do everything online. It just kind of makes you lose track. It makes you lose focus. So I've been trying to
yeah.
keep up with that.
I've always seen that online classes for me are a little bit harder than going in class because
Yeah.
it just takes a little bit more effort for me to get out of my comfortable bed or the sofa
Right.
to go and do an assignment that I do, and then I miss a couple assignments, and I think, what's a couple more? Uh,
Yeah, I'm fine that I'm slowly like getting to like, it's okay, I can miss that one. I can afford to lose. And like really I can't, like
yeah. It
I
got to a point
cannot.
where I actually already put reminders for me saying, hey, this is what I need to do, and I need to do it right now. That way
Mm-hmm.
I can stop making those excuses. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and what about like family life? Like I've heard around like during this quarantine time, and I'm a strong believer in that this is the best time to get close with your family, start doing activities with your family, and everything. Has that been like something that you're experiencing as well?
More or less. I
Mhm.
I mean I see my family every day.
Yeah,
Now my mom and my dad still have to work. My mom goes to work I don't know, a few times a week. I don't even know. Sometimes she's here, sometimes she's not. But I mean, we've been having dinner together a lot more, and I haven't had dinner with them in a long time, so that's been nice. And also uh, just being around them a lot more has been pretty nice. It's been a little annoying at times,
yeah,
obviously, because I'm not living by myself anymore. Like I'm back home. I don't get the freedom or the privacy that I may want, but um, it's been great. Like my mom's yelling in the background. It's been great, like being able to just walk to the fridge and get anything I want and not have to worry about if I have a meal coming because my mom and my dad are going to provide that for me. So that's been great. Just not having to worry about where my next meal is going to come because that's literally when you live by yourself, like always wondering like, okay, should I cook? Should I go get something to eat? Like, do I have enough money to go get something to eat? Like, so that's been nice. But other than that, I've been here almost a week and I haven't drank a single drop of alcohol. So that'll be like the thing tonight that I'll be probably
yeah.
doing with my family.
Yeah, I mean, make setting a little bit of goals for yourself or something like that. I'm kind of the same situation here. My family's been staying home most of the time. My sister, she would go into your boyfriend every other day, and I would tell her to stop. And thank God she finally listened. And I told her just give it 2 weeks. I said 2 weeks,
Hmm.
please, just 2 weeks. After this, if nothing happens, you can go back to him.
Yeah.
Uh, but she finally listened. So now we're spending like everyone's here 24/7.
Hmm.
We get on each other's nerves like almost every other day about something. But I think that the best thing that came out of this is that we learned how to discuss within each other our problems. You
Mhm.
know, before we would argue all the time, and there wouldn't really be a compromise. You know, we just stay mad at each other, and
Mhm.
then we get over
Mhm.
it. But I feel like now with this whole change that we've been stuck here for like almost a month or two, like 3 weeks, I believe, uh, we actually start having good conversations where we realize we
Right.
got to start
Talking through
listening to
it
each other. Yeah,
instead
and
of just going to your rooms and being mad.
yeah. And for me, it's the opposite of what you're saying that you don't have to worry about cooking anymore. For me, I'm cooking every day for these guys because
Oh wow.
I don't like the food that they cook because I don't
Mm.
I don't know, I just don't find the flavor in it. And
Mhm.
they really like the way I cook, so they start telling me, "What are you gonna make today?" And
Okay.
I was like, "What do you mean? I was only gonna cook yesterday. I'm taking a break now."
Right.
But they want
I
me to
did that the
cook.
other night too. I cooked one time and my mom the next day she was like, "So what are you making for dinner?" I'm
Yeah,
like,
they want you.
"Uh-uh."
They want you to
That was
keep
me
on
being
going.
nice. That was me being nice.
Yeah, and my mom, I'm 20. I'll be 20 next month. And
Mhm.
my mom won't even let me have a sip of wine because I
Mhm.
use wine to cook.
Uh-huh.
And I tell her,
Well, in the state of Texas, it's legal as long as you're with your guardian or your parent.
that's what I
So,
tell her. I tell her that too. I tell her, Mom, I graduated with a degree in criminal justice when I graduated high school. I was like, I
mhm.
think I know the law better than you. And I tell her that, hey, it's legal. And she's like, not under my house. It's not legal for
Yeah.
me. And I'm like, okay, gotta do what mom says while I live
So
here.
close.
I know, right? No, but when she goes to sleep, I'll go into the cabinet and get one. What mama don't know, don't hurt her. That's what I say.
There you
I'm
go.
playing. If my mom's watching this, I don't do that. As far
Hi,
as me.
mom.
But um, what about I've also seen people talk about like this is also the best time to work on yourself. Uh,
Mm,
start investing in yourself. This is a term that I like to use. Invest in yourself by reading books, looking at
mhm,
articles, learning a new subject, picking up something that you haven't picked up before in a long time.
mhm.
Well, what about you? You think you've been kind of following those ideas too?
I would say so. I don't think I've been making it an active part of my daily routine, but I'm definitely mindful of well, I guess just lately in general. I think that honesty is like the most refreshing quality in a person. So
Mm-hmm.
like I've been trying to be more honest with people and openly communicate and actively listen just in general because I don't know, I find myself drawn to people who just speak their mind and are like just unapologetically themselves. And like that's something I want to emulate to like people around me too, is that like you can have your views and you can be honest, but you can also do it in a way that's respectful of others and like just there's like the mutual respect between both parties because you're just like both being honest, both communicating. And that's what I've been trying to do like the past month or two, is just kind of being honest with people. And I don't know, that's something I've been working on.
Yeah, yeah. That's a different way to look at it. To be honest, I didn't think of it like that way.
Hmm.
That is a good way to invest in yourself. Start thinking of a quality that you want to have. Work on
Hmm.
it, and not only work on it, but kind of extend it to a new person. Because most people, uh, most what makes if your situation different. Most people will
Hmm.
say, "Well, I want X quality," but what you're
Hmm.
saying right now, at least from what I understand, is you want X quality, but you want to
Hmm.
integrate Y and Z into it. As in, I want
Right.
to be honest with people, but I also want to do it in a way that I don't really where I take into consideration how others might take it or how others might
Hmm.
feel about that, which
Hmm.
which is good. I on the other hand, I don't know if you read the Perks of Being a Wallflower.
No.
You haven't read it? It's oh man, then
Mm-mm.
I can't talk
Is
about
it
it
good?
because I'm about to spoil it. You know, I tweeted about it and I put a spoiler
Uh-huh.
there. But I had read it, I believe my freshman or sophomore year,
Hmm.
and I had seen that on Netflix. The movie is on there, and so I said, well, I'm gonna reread the book again,
Hmm.
uh, and then I'm gonna watch the movie. When I read the book again, I noticed that there's this big thing that I had missed the first time that I read it, and
Hmm.
and just the fact that I had this time, I would have never picked up that book if I wasn't studying
Right.
for 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 a month now because I don't
Hmm.
like rereading books. I like reading new books. I don't like rereading books.
Hmm.
So once I reread that, I was really thankful. Like, hey, I caught this thing, and it's a really big thing, and something that I thought was really important about the book. And then I watched the movie, and the movie made that point I was kind of
Even
shocked
better.
that I didn't pick it up and the movie picked it up.
That's funny.
But
I've not even seen the movie at all
you
either.
haven't seen the movie?
I
It's
need to
really
watch
good.
it.
I believe Emma Watson is in it. That's the only
Okay.
reason I wanted to watch the movie. Also, but you should read the book. The book is really, it's a really good book. It's called
I
the,
will try.
yeah, it's called the,
I have a tendency to get halfway through books and then just forget about them. So I'll try. I'll try
yeah.
for you though.
Same here. Actually, I'll read a book and get through the first five chapters, and then
Hmm.
I'll leave it there, and then a week later I'll come back to it because I'll remember
Yeah.
it. You know? That's what I do.
Hmm.
Uh, the last thing I want to say, because we're getting close to, I don't want to say how much time we have, but we're getting close to about the length that I want to have it at.
Okay.
But the last thing is just gonna be you. What advice would you tell people, that are growing up in this age where they feel like they can't come out to maybe their parents or their friends because they feel like they might be judged,
Hmm.
and that might have to go their whole life thinking about any struggles that you know being gay or being opinionated about being gay would bring with it. What have you
Hmm.
done, and what advice would you give them to help them get through it?
I would say that you need to, I think that you should only come out when you are ready, when you are comfortable, and if you are safe. Those are the biggest things. When you're ready, you're comfortable, and you're safe. Um, if you're ever in a situation where your safety is compromised, I would say, as much as you want to come out, I would say hold off just until you can get to a safer place. But in general, I want to say that you'll know when the time is right. You won't know up until that moment, but when that moment comes and you're in that moment, you're think, wow, this is the moment. For me, the times that I've come out, when I came out to my mom, I think it was through text, and it was when I was really sick. I think I had like the flu or something, and I was really tired.
Coronavirus?
And huh?
You had coronavirus?
No, I had something like it. I had something like it. But that was like 2 3 years ago, and I just texted her, and that was that. And then with my dad, it was about a year and a half later. I was drunk, he was drunk, and it just felt right. We were all like together as a family, so that was the moment. Um, but yeah, just do it when you feel comfortable. You'll know when the time is right. And just know that like there's beauty in just like letting go. Like once it's finally done, once you feel comfortable, and once you've come out, like it's so much more freeing. Like I can't tell you how great it felt to like liberate myself from the character that I was playing for so long. Like I know a lot of people can relate to that, and not even just on a sexual orientation, uh, in that aspect. Like I think in our everyday lives, we play certain characters with certain people or in certain situations, like, and more every day. And as I grow older, I've been learning to just let go of certain things and not try so much, like not try so hard, like, and people will respect you for it, because they see the authentic you. People want to know who you are, not the facade, not the character that you're playing. So not just on a sexual orientation aspect, but I think in general, like finding the confidence and in yourself and learning to let go of a lot of things is so rewarding, and I love it. Every day I let go even more of certain things.
Yeah.
And I know people see it like on my timeline, I've just like let it all loose. Like I'm an open book. If you read my timeline, you know who I am. Like that is me. Like those are my thoughts on the internet, like all of them. I may kind of alter here and there because I know people are they're not ready for all of that. But I am ready, and I just kind of I let go. I let go a long time ago. That's
That's
all I'm gonna say about that.
That's awesome to hear. All right, guys. Well, that's all we have for today. Next week, I do have an interview coming up with Daniel Montes from RGB10 News. We're going to be talking about media bias and the importance of credibility in news in news reporting. And thank you so much for your time, Ryan. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as we have, and I hope that this will continue and encourage
Yeah.
people to comment below and express their opinions. As I stated before, I'm open to criticism. I encourage
Yes.
criticism. If something in this video, we said something you didn't like, go ahead and comment below. Go ahead and make that interaction.
We love diversity of thought. Where's this gonna go on, by the way?
Who?
YouTube?
What?
This is gonna go on YouTube?
Yeah, this is gonna go on YouTube. I also
Oh,
made
okay, cool.
A Twitter page. Once I got that
Okay.
started, so y'all can go ahead and follow. And like I said, anything y'all have a problem with, or anything you want to contribute to the conversation, go ahead and add it. Thank you so much. It's been Luis Fernandez. This has been Ryan. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see y'all next time.